Previously, we looked at how Paws builds their trailers.
It's really fun to see the trailer like this.
So that's kind of where we're at here. So
we're in the premium suspension business. So,
Yeah.
so if it's good enough for the military, you know, it's going to be good enough for the RV industry.
Brian, Shane, nice to meet you.
When you think Morryde, you think RV products mostly, and we are mostly like a 70% RV company. We started off kind of doing suspensions back in the early years, pre-90s or so. Once we got into the 90s area, we started to evolve. We started to add more metal fabrication. So we're not only an RV industry, but we're also involved in the medical field. We're involved in the military field. We're involved in other industries that sometimes require higher standards. So why do we tell people that? We say that because we take those tighter standards and we apply them to the RV world. So one place that we're at right now is we're looking at our independent suspension area. So this is kind of what birthed the Paws concept, if you will. Obviously your suspension, the Paws suspension, is an independent suspension. This product, the IS, uses rubber shear spring technology, and this has been around since the early 90s or so. Independent wheel travel, about 6 inches of travel, rubber shear spring. We usually put disc brakes on it. You saw our service department over here. Most of what they're doing is they're cutting up everything on the frame and they're putting a structure underneath it and they're putting the independent suspension underneath it. So that's what you see over here. One of our few places where we get retail customers over. We service everything, but most people are here for an upgrade.
Did I understand that you've been doing disc brakes and 6 inches of independent wheel travel since the 90s?
Yes, sir.
On fifth wheels?
Yes, sir.
Big high-end, typically going on really high-end products.
Yep.
Or people that come in and do custom.
Yep, and shoot, we're largely doing it custom. It primarily was a custom product for end customers, retrofits, etc. And now, because of that, we've entered into people offering this, you know, straight from the factory. We've got into more of that territory too.
Okay.
And then obviously, your Paws suspension, that concept kind of derived from the independent suspension. Yours just has air, and it's a lot more high tech, you know.
Okay.
So yeah, premium. We are in the premium suspension business. So
Yeah.
I'll just, again, I'm going to try to move quickly. So if you have questions, please stop me. So one thing that we try to really hammer home to people is our equipment. We have over 30 laser cutters cutting different variations with steel thickness. We have 6 tube lasers over here. We put up a lot of capital so that we can keep these machines and we can maintain them so that we can keep a very tight tolerance on some of these parts. You know, once we get 24 foot pieces of tube fed into here, notches cut into them, and then when we bring it to welding and it all kind of sucks in a little bit, we got to make sure that thing is tight. If it's good enough for the military, you know, it's going to be good enough for the RV industry too. So that's kind of what we like to preach. So different industries, all comes back to RV. And yeah, you'll see that hopefully in some of the sophistication of our machinery. So this over here is our specialty welding area. What happens here is it's a lot of RV parts. It's a lot of components that are going to end up being outside kitchens, bed lifts, bed mechanisms, things that you see on RVs, but shoot, overlanding space, we do a lot of outside kitchens for Paws project. A lot of them will end up in this area. Again, upstream parts from fabrication to welding, tight tolerances, get you a better product. If we go just to the right here, like we're slogan, above, beyond, always. So this is our aluminum weld area. Again, you guys are familiar with aluminum because your frame is aluminum. Welding aluminum takes a little bit different of a welder. It's a slower weld. It's a little bit more of a sophisticated, delicate weld. We're not actually welding your frame, but we do have the capability of welding any sort of aluminum product. We do a lot of greens products. We do a lot of mowers, outdoor patio furniture in this area with weld aluminum. And then we'll kind of work in reverse because now we're going to get into laser cutting territory. It's a little difficult without having an operator here right now, but this is kind of where the majority of things will get started. We'll get different variances of thick material. They'll all get cut on this laser cutter right here. Again, we have about 30 of these across 14 different plants. So we have a good amount of capacity for this. It gets lifted up, it gets set on there, it'll go underneath, and we can cut things for up to an hour. We can cut things up for 5 minutes, depending on how we program this particular sheet. So this is where the majority of steel parts are going to start.
How big is the facility, square foot?
We're 1 million square feet.
1 million.
Yeah. But I don't know. I would assume.
I think this one's about 150 or so.
So it's about 200, and then the latest one was that 3?
Around 3.
About 300, yeah, 1,000 square feet. So you'll see some of that. You'll see this, by the way, this is the original Morryde factory, lower ceiling. So from here, you'll get into our new buildings where you'll see a big difference. But this was the original chassis line.
Yeah.
So
From almost the 60s or 70s.
yeah, so 1966 is our address. That was our incorporation date, I'm told. So hence the 1966. So yeah. So this was the straight line. Dave Heisman was here. He could probably still tell us about it.
Typically from this laser area, we'll get, again, like a stenciled out steel piece, and I wish these automated brake press machines were running so you can see them, but everything, this is where it essentially gets formed. So if you step this way, you can see everything that's going to head to a brake press. We have everything from little small widgets that you can fit in your hand to 2-man operations. So you can get pieces that are big enough for 2 people to carry, go through a 2-man operation on one of these larger brake presses. We have these 3 automated areas right here.
Really unique, that arm that comes out, that actually, once it's running, it looks like your arm.
Yeah.
I mean, it has all the motions of your arm, and it's doing all those
And
things.
some bends, some parts can have up to 20 bends to them. So these things come into play really well when we have a 20 bend part, because all of a sudden you just took a part that takes 2 minutes to bend to about 30 seconds or so. So if you're running hundreds of those parts, saves a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this would have started off a piece of flat stock. That robot would have picked it up, handed it to this one. It'll go through the bend, and then she'll actually drop it in the box. So it'll make all those bends. And so we can go lights, and we have gone lights out with this. So it'll continue to bend all night.
Will it automatically change?
Yeah, it will change its own tool as well.
See, those are all the different tools that do make different bends over there.
Yeah.
So the robot will actually change the tool in the machine to make the different bends.
You hear that? That's cool. That's really cool. And they say they can go lights out, like turn it off at night and let it go work in the dark.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Since you guys quit at 1 p.m.
Yeah, I know.
Robots.
I know, we wanted to. Basically, those robots are doing what she's doing.
Yeah.
So she sees what the material needs.
Look at this.
Yeah, right here, he's doing the same. So he's bending that flange on that particular piece. So what we're doing now is we're kind of entering into our frame department.
So Daryl, like, these pieces are all pieces you guys took out.
Yeah, so this is the scrap. This will get recycled. Yeah.
So you melt it down and form sheets and stuff again, and
We melt it down. The 3rd time through, we make a pause out of it. How you like me now, Bubba?
This is where we stock all of our sheet material. Like I said, all sorts of different thicknesses. It's kind of obvious we try to keep everything indoors. Nobody likes rust on anything. Once we get to the powder coat facility, you don't have any imperfections within the material, so we keep everything indoors. So now we're kind of transferring into the frame assembly area.
Oh, look at this. This looks familiar.
Yeah. You can see we got some space devoted to the product.
Oh, yeah, it looks like it.
As we were saying at the early portion, we have tube cutters, tube benders, tube lasers, laser cutters, brake presses, all of that you've seen. This is one of our newest pieces of equipment. This is our profile router. We bought this with the overland, the frame market in mind. So we actually have Jeff Ewers, who actually runs this whole operation right here. Jeff, what can you tell us about the particularities of this machine?
It was very delicate to start, but we're getting through it now. It's making some parts. It's pretty complicated programming side, but once you get it going, it runs like a champ so far.
What's it do for you, Jeff? Does it give you a precise hole?
We're able to get precise holes out. We're able to do multi-features, so we can cut the entire frame rail. We're drilling holes, we're milling features in the sides, top, other side, and even with the flange that sticks out, we're doing it in the bottom as well. The only thing that it can't do without a flip is doing stuff at the very, very bottom that gets trapped underneath the roller gate. All of our products on the frame rails have features on those three sides that we're able to do in one fell swoop. So that out really well.
3 axles, 5 axles, what? 5 axles. Thank you.
So how much is this machine?
A lot.
What do you think? Do you have any guess?
I thought it was $1 million, but somebody told me it was a little less than that.
It's a little under that, yeah.
A little under $1 million.
One thing I do want to point out on a YouTube video, there was a gentleman talked about the aluminum rail.
Yeah.
And talking about the crush factor,
Yeah.
you know, of that aluminum rail. Well, one of the things that is proprietary to this particular product here is if you look inside here, this is a thicker material. Every one of these is a strength gusset.
Okay.
All right. That's part of what, obviously, other than the thickness of the material itself, this is where you're getting a lot of that strength from. So crushing that, you're not going to crush this material, you know.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So very, very strong material.
So, and this is a proprietary product that we developed for Paws.
Yeah.
This was an extrusion that was specifically developed for our frames.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
One of the things that you'll see over here, and we'll point it out here, it's like, well, what's this notch for? So now when you put your tank rails in, it doesn't lay on top of the material like this, it nests into this. You know, these are a lot of the things that make us different. Instead of taking this and screwing this flange on here for whatever reason, you know, this flange here be for your underbelly to set in, we've incorporated into our die that did that direct from here. Make sense?
absolutely.
All right.
So anyway, I did want to point that out.
Yeah. Yeah. Very important. Not gonna crush it if you put any type of hitch
You're not.
system.
Yeah.
Very strong.
Yeah. Jeff, so what are you using oil to lubricate that, right? Not water.
Yeah. Oil business.
You can actually see it up here if you want.
CNC mills.
Okay.
It fit.
It's done.
Yeah.
Now. It's like, I'm going to sleep. But yeah, there it is. It's drilling the holes. You can come over here, Brandon. Come right here. Come. Right there. You can see it. See it in there?
Yeah.
Look how thick this metal is. This metal is yeah, look at this. Look at this. Yeah, that thing is so thick and robust.
This is essentially station 1, correct? Where all the parts will just get funneled into this area. And then
There'll be carts here when we're about to start the process. They'll be right here. You'll load the first one on. Curbside first,
Then the curve.
then the curbside. Then we start putting in the cross members to put it together in this first station. And then we got for the big 3/8 rivets, we got those oil over hydraulic rivet guns to help speed up the process. Those are a lifesaver for the hand strength of the guys as well as time. But yeah, those big honking 3/8 rivets that you see throughout there, that's what those will do. So we'll start doing those in that second stage area.
So can you explain a little bit more in depth of the way they fasten it, opposed to like welding or?
So it's a strong rivet essentially.
Yeah, just trying to understand the benefit of this versus a weld.
Well, the tolerances are crazy because now we're talking about machine tolerances fitting together as opposed to manually putting fixtures together on a giant frame to try and locate things.
Yeah.
So our holes locate everything, so the tolerances are way tighter. You don't have any of the heat draw or the heat effects on aluminum that weakens it.
Yeah.
one is
Multiple benefits to it.
Okay.
And as far as fasteners go, like this is the same fastener that gets put on like suspension bridges and like things of that nature. So, I mean, next time you're going over Mackinac Island or something like that, you know, these are same rivets. And as far as I'm concerned,
How many rivets you put in a frame?
Of these, well over 100.
So yesterday when we were at the shop doing filming, we were talking about the suspension, how the suspension is secured to the frame. And I pointed out that we're not just putting them lag bolts or whatever you want to call it into the tube, that there's actually something inside there that it gets secured to. Can you show us that and explain that?
So
wow.
for each axle, One of these will be slid in. We got a little bar with a magnet that we can help push it in. And there's 2 countersunk rivets, at least, depending on the size of it, that rivet it in place so that it's located for these guys when they go to assemble the suspension.
Oh, so you actually rivet through the,
Yep. So this
these
is on
ones.
the inside.
Okay.
And if you see some countersink rivets in there, that's what's locking this into place. And then all of these bolted connections are what they bolt the suspension through our frame rail and through this steel bracket.
Okay.
And that steel bracket is all powder coated and stuff, so you don't have to have any property going against the aluminum.
That's that plate we saw yesterday that we were just talking about that the suspension goes into.
So not too many manufacturers are doing this style of frames.
I don't think anybody is.
I don't know of anybody.
You don't know of anybody?
I'm not an expert in that realm, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, typically.
Daryl, to your knowledge, is there another frame in the world like this?
No. Not that I know of. I mean, I've not been in all, as though I look like I'm old enough to be all around the world. No. But I've never seen one constructed like this.
But in this day and age, you can't find a Kentucky Fried Chicken pretty much anywhere in the world.
Oh boy.
Thoughts about it?
You too? You too? Yeah, really? You guys are gonna have a little something extra in your chicken bucket.
No, but in all seriousness,
Yeah.
Daryl, I think our frame and our suspension, just that alone, puts us above any competition that's out there. But I mean, one thing that I learned soon when I started researching the overland market is the overland, they don't just build it good enough, they build it better than you need.
Yeah.
And that's what this frame is, you know, we didn't just build it so it's good enough, we built it above and beyond.
So now we are in this is independent suspension assembly area, and we're getting into your air suspension area as well.
We wanted no failures, you know. We didn't want to take this product out and apologize for anything. You know, we're not that guy that wants to look the part, but you're only going to take it to the UP mall. You know, we want to be the guys like ROA that takes it out, puts it to the extreme test, because their quick overview of it until you get into that real experienced guy or lady or girl is, well, they both got 4 wheels and they got a hitch and they go down the road. So much